Leaving camp a little after 8 this morning. Getting out a little bit late because I don't need to be in a hurry today. Deb's not going to be able to get to where she's going to meet me until shortly after 11, so I'm going to take my time. I've got a whopping 3.7 miles to go this morning to get into town and a big greasy cheeseburger. Get my resupply done. That's about it. Got to find a hotel. Last time we were here, we stayed in this really sleazy dump called the Hilltop. And you know, listen, it served our purpose. But it's also the first place where I fell in the freaking bathtub. Luckily, they had a good shower curtain that kind of lowered me down to the ground in an easy fashion. But yeah. But no, I got Deb here today, so we'll find a better place than the sleazy motel. I can't have her stand in a place like that anymore. There's times when it's kind of fun, but not now. Got better sleep last night than I did the night before. I feel a little bit more refreshed. My left heel. Well, when I woke up this morning, I was definitely doing the monster walk for a couple of minutes until I got things loosened up. It was better than it was last year, or in 23, that's for sure. Except for my left foot, my left heel, giving me a lot of problems this morning. But hopefully it'll work itself out as I hit this uphill. We're basically just going over one big round mountain today. About 2 miles up and 2 miles down, somewhere in that area. But the heel usually chills out about 10-15 minutes into a good uphill walk. So I'm hopeful. Something else going on with my left legs, calf, shin. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint it right now, but maybe I just slept on it wrong. I don't know. We'll find out. All the youngins that I was with, they decided to get up early and hike out of here with the guys that are doing 20-mile days. There's a free shuttle in Franklin, just like in Hiawassee, that caters to hikers. And they'll do 3 runs a day between where we just left, Rock Gap, Winding Stair Gap, and town. They'll drop people off at the grocery store and the local hostel. It's a good deal. These towns are smart. You know, they know that the hikers are going to come in and spend, you know, anywhere from 25 to a couple $100. The outfitter stores, they get a lot of people coming in, purchasing new equipment or etc. So they feel like it's worth their time to offer these free services to hikers, to bring them in town and then help their economy. Smart. Hikers have to resupply, and Franklin is one of those places that's on the on far out as a resupply point. Hikers are normally packed for, depends on how fast you are, depends on how the distance between resupply points, but most hikers, okay, we got a little bit of an uphill here. I'm going to put it this way. Real quickly though, most hikers, for me, I pack usually for 4 to 5 days, somewhere in that area, unless I know there's a resupply close, and then I'll try to cut it down to 2, but all right. Doesn't this look like fun? You know, these roots, and they're wet this morning, so I got to be extra cautious. But man, they all angle toward down the hill. You don't want to slip and go down the hill. That would be a bad thing. So many things go through your mind when you're out here hiking these trails. You have so much time by yourself, and every thought imaginable goes through your mind. This morning I'm thinking about a young man that I met back at the hostel. His name out here is Astra. He's got some issues, and he's aware of them. His major issue is he has POTS. I know very little about POTS. I know that it affects your heart rate. I know that if you go from sitting to standing too quickly, you'll end up flat on your back. So he has those physical limitations for coming out here. God, man, what kind of courage does it take to come out here just with that? And he's a young man. He's maybe 21, 22. I spent almost a full day with him on my Zero at the hostel, just talking with him, trying to give him some advice. It's hard because he's so not focused sometimes. And he has some other issues other than POTS. And he's not the kind of guy that's going to come out here and make a lot of friends, because he can be irritating, and he knows this. He's very aware of this. He's very intelligent. He can be funny. When we had our free pizza night the other day, he had a beer with the pizza. No bueno. Whatever medication he's on, he should not be drinking alcohol. After about half that beer, I took it away from him and said, "You're cut off." And I think he appreciated it. He didn't come out and say it, but I think he appreciated it. He was trying to be, one of the guys, one of the gang, and he was trying too hard. So, Astro, if you're watching this, don't try so hard. You're a decent dude, man. You're admittedly by yourself, you're a little on the strange side, but listen, everybody is a little strange in their own way. What bothers me is that people tend to not look at the issues that a person's having in their life. And there was a large group of men at the shelter last night that were talking about when they ran into young Astra. And I was not too happy. And I kind of shut it down. I did shut it down. There was another young man there who was with a fellow hiker. They were the two that did the shortcut. But this gentleman admitted that he was on the autism scale, high functioning level, and I got his support on that. When they started talking about some of the actions that Astra did out here, lying in the middle of a trail, sometimes he's got to do that. Sometimes he can't get off the trail. Anyways, they were kind of picking on him as men tend to do. And I didn't catch the other guy's name, but we kind of shut that down and just let them know that, guys, it could be any one of you. It could be any one of us. And rather than be mean and talk bad about the kid, how about showing a little support? And when they got called out, they all nodded their heads. And so maybe that's a teaching moment, a learning moment for them. But Astra does have a YouTube channel. He has very, very, very few subscribers. I'm now one of them. I haven't watched any of his videos yet, but I will when I get to town tonight. And I will put his YouTube channel out here for you guys. And for you guys who have the heart, I would appreciate it very much if you would jump on there and show him some love and support. That would be way cool. And I don't know that it's going to do any good, but I don't think it'll do any harm. I don't know how far this young man's going to go on this trail. He's struggling. He's struggling with his food. He's struggling with his tent. But anyways, I'll try to keep track of him and see how things go. All right, getting to a steep section. I don't need it, but if I did, this would be a wonderful place to get some water. This is not always running this well, so they have this pipe that they'll hammer into the side of the mountain, and that's pretty consistent throughout most of the year. A little over 2 miles into the trail this morning. Only a 3.8 mile day. Come on this viewing area. Man, I just never get tired of seeing that. Layer upon layer upon layer of mountains. It's just so gorgeous. You can see some farmland down there. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, just gorgeous. All right, back to the trail. I've got plenty of time today. I'm taking my sweet time. I want to get there to rest my body, but I'm just not in a big hurry. There's just nobody else around me. My favorite times out here is when it's just peace and quiet. The only thing you hear is me babbling. But at least most of my babbling is coherent. Not far from the top of this this one little lonely mountain that we're going to cross today, or that I'm going to cross today. They've already crossed it. Got maybe another 0.2 of a mile. I'll be over the top. And then the rest is downhill all the way to Winding Stair Gap. Probably already mentioned this, but just for the sake of talking so I can hear myself talk. Winding Stair Gap was very eventful the last time I was here. We got to the trail about 8 o'clock in the morning. Hang on a second. We got to the trail after taking a 0 in Franklin about 8 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in that area. I don't remember the specifics, but and everybody was there waiting. The rangers had stopped us. We could not go. They were doing a controlled burn up on the mountain where we were going, and we had to wait until at first they said like 10 in the morning, and then they said 11, and then 12, and we finally see the helicopter go overhead dropping incendiary devices down to start the fires. And it was weird because almost immediately they said, okay, you can go now. We're like, what? And we walked through the forest as it was burning. Now, this is not a raging fire like you would see, well, even in these mountains. Or I think most people have seen the raging wildfires out west or up north in Canada. It wasn't that kind of fire. This was an area that they did controlled burns often, and it was just a lot of brush and this crap on the ground, and it would burn right up to the trail. And So we were walking through the fire. Trees like this one that are broken, they became flaming candles and just fire gushing out the top. It was kind of cool. We breathed in a little bit of smoke, but it wasn't harmful to us. And we still made our goal. I believe it was like 11 miles that day. Somewhere in that area. Got to camp just at nightfall. First time I had to put on my headlamp and hiking a little bit in the dark. Not much. But the biggest thing I remember getting to camp was there were a lot of people there. It was dark, and I wasn't sure where to put up my tent. And a young man came over and said, "Papa Bear, are you looking for a place to put your tent?" I said, "I am." He said, "I think there's a place right over here." And the trail provides, man. That young man, pat on the back. But that's the way people are out here. Look at this. I guess this is some type of fern. It's probably going to green up, or maybe not, but this is beautiful. I love that color. Just beautiful. And they're all along the edge of the trail, certain spots. I think we may be over the top. So that gives us less than 2 miles, so less than an hour. I don't know what time it is, but Deb's going to meet me there between somewhere around 11:30, give or take a few minutes. I plan on getting there as slow as I'm going, around 11 o'clock, give or take a few minutes. So give me a few minutes to rest before she gets there. But knowing her, she'll get there early. And, if you didn't follow me the last time I hiked this trail, every time Deb would follow me up the trail and try to pick me up somewhere, we would get there almost at the exact same time. And there was almost never any waiting. Sometimes those were after short days, and sometimes those were after, I remember one time coming out of Front Royal. I think I did an 18-mile day that day. And there were 3 of us that she picked up. Now, she doesn't have to pick us up with her little bitty Prius. We got the manly car, the Subaru Outback. It'd be nice not having to squish into it with our packs and our bodies. And I may have been wrong. I may have one more bump here. I don't care. I'm going to get there way early, I think. No hurry. Can you hear the woodpecker off in the distance? Guys coming into camp last night told us and showed us pictures. The shelter previous that they had planned on stopping at. They got ready to go down to the shelter and saw a big black bear. Just maybe 20 feet from the shelter. So they said, maybe we'll pass on this one and go to the next one. But it wasn't a full adult bear, but it was big enough to get your attention. That's for sure. I have not seen a bear out here yet. I have not seen the snake. A group that I hiked with for a day or so, they did see one rattlesnake. I never saw anything like that this early when I was on the trail. It's because of this warm weather. It's been ridiculously warm, just the opposite of when I was out here in 23. If you remember back then, man, I'm walking through freezing temperatures, a couple nights in single digits, snow and ice. Not so much snow, but a lot of freezing rain. I remember coming out of Neal's Gap, there was freezing rain. And everything had a coating of 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice on everything, all the trees, bushes, everything. Now we're going downhill now. And then coming into the Kleeman's Dome, where freezing rain once again. And it was so bad that I had to have people help me unclench my fingers from the trekking poles a little bit because I was frozen. That was rough. I remember stopping at a shelter on the way to Kleeman's Dome, and a guy named Mountain Crusher, who was hiking with Cobweb Rose back then, from just a small ember made a fire, and there were like 15, 20 people gathered around there, and they were trying to thaw out, get ready for their next step. And then heading into Klingman's Dome. Oh my God. I can't wait for any new viewers to see that. The 10 miles in and probably 8 miles out of Klingman's Dome, just gorgeous. It's like, I don't know, it's like being in the Lord of the Rings, and it's magical, and the trees, the hemlock trees and the fir trees, and the green moss carpet that covers every inch of the forest floor. It's just beautiful. Those are images that are ingrained in my brain that I'll never forget. And I'm excited to see them again. I'm hopeful that I don't go in there with freezing rain again, but that's still a few days away. I'm hoping to get at least to Klingman's Dome before I have to go up north. That's my goal. If I can get there or even beyond, that would be wonderful. I would love to get through the Smokies, but you know, again, I think back to what I talked about last night. I have been pushing myself pretty hard. I don't want to do that. I don't need to injure myself out here before I go up to Virginia to hike with Navigator. And so, take my time. I think I'm going to back my miles down to maybe 8 to 10 a day instead of these 12 to 14 a day. That's a big difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a huge difference when you're going up these big hills. Ran into a gentleman this morning coming south. We stopped and chatted for a moment. He's just out for a few days, enjoying the mountains. He's going to do about 8 miles today, go to Betty Creek Gap, which for future reference now has a bear box. I did not know that until I met a young lady named Quilt yesterday, I believe. And she gave me that education. I feel a little bad that I told the 4-section hikers about not being a viable bear hang there, but that wouldn't matter. They weren't going to go that far anyways. They were supposed to get to the shelter last night where we stayed. They did not make it. I didn't think they would. That was a long 12.2 mile day for us. No way in hell they were going to make it. Not unless they did a lot of night hiking and hiked till midnight, and they're just not in that kind of condition. So I hope they're okay. They're not going to make their goal of getting to Nantahala Outdoor Center. They're probably going to end up about 20 miles short. They underestimated the difficulty of these trails out here. At least a couple of them did. I think a couple of the guys were getting frustrated at the slower guys. But hey, you know, listen, you got to know. Just because you're in good shape doesn't mean you can come out here and hike these mountains. It doesn't work that way. Good shape is important, but I came out here in horrible shape. And look what I'm doing. Sometimes it's not about the physical shape as much as it is the mental shape. Just like these athletes that are trying to win this basketball tournament right now. I have no idea who's still in. I know Duke got beat out. I know Kentucky's gone. I don't know who else is still in. But when you get to that level, you have to up your game. Not just physically, but mentally. Those are the ones that win. Those are the ones that win. That's why Kentucky can't win. They keep recruiting ball players that have talent, but no heart. They don't know how to push that extra mile. Give that extra, whatever it takes, that athletes know about. But you got to raise your bar a level and another and another. Just like when Kentucky Would they go 38-1 a few years ago? They got beat by one guy from Wisconsin that just had a tougher mental attitude than anybody else on their team. It's just reality. Oh, yeah. The last little stream that I need to cross before I get to the bottom of Winding Stair Gap. The rain we got last night has been wonderful. This little stream here, the note's in Far Out, and as soon as I get off here, I'm going to make a new note. Said it was barely running. Well, it's not barely running now. This is a good water source, at least for a few days. So that's great for the hikers out here. Water's been okay. There's only been a couple times where I carried just a little bit of extra water because we weren't sure what was up ahead. But I think after that, those little thunderstorms went through last night, I think at least for the next couple days, everything should be running pretty good for everybody. If you look on my little maps at the end of the video, every time you see a water drop, if it's a full water drop, that means it's usually a pretty reliable source. If it's only half a water drop, and then those are the ones you gotta look out for. So on Far Out, people can put notes and let the people coming behind them or in front of them, in the case of the Sobos, southbounds, that there's good water source there, and that's how you tell people. And they plan. They look at those notes every day before they take off to see where water is, if they have to do a water carry, etc., etc. So it's important that people put notes out there. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm thinking about it and make that happen. So I'll be back. Okay, that takes care of that. I've got just a hair over a half mile to go to get to Winding Stair Gap. So I'm going to be able to get down there, kick back, and maybe even take myself a little short nap before Deb gets there. My feet are feeling pretty good right now. You know, I've only done about 3 miles, just over 3 miles, but I still have a little tenderness in my left heel. Man, I wish there was something I could do about that, but there just isn't. The podiatrist that I saw a couple years ago said a lot of it had to do with the arthritis in my feet, and it was my feet were just filled with arthritis. He said they could go in there and clean that out, but I'd be off my feet for a couple months. I can't do that. I can't do that. Maybe down the road, something to consider, but right now my life is way too active. I can't stop for 2 months and sit on my ass. Just not my style. Although maybe after I had my shoulder surgery, and that would have been a good time to do it, because I've pretty much been sitting on my ass for the last 6 months. You know, I take care of my home responsibilities, my chores, clean my house, mow my yard, do the things that I need to do around my house. But overall, God, you can only sit on your ass and watch TV for so long. That is not how I want to go out of this world. I would much rather go out climbing one of these mountains or doing some other stupid thing, as long as I don't hurt anybody who has to bring my body out. That would not be good. But getting a little rocky. I mean, yeah, we got little sections like this here in the south, but nothing like what's up north. Yeah. Now, I did hear, I don't know how true it is, I did hear that my new friend Nimbus, who was trying to carry a 100-pound pack and not do a resupply in 60 days up this trail, he had to get off the trail. He had an injury. I hope it's not a severe injury. I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. In a perfect world, I hope he's okay enough to get back on the trail in a couple of days, and maybe he's got a couple of days to think about carrying a 100-pound pack, because he's certainly fit enough that he could run up and down these damn trails carrying a normal pack and doing normal resupplies. And for what he's trying to do to bring awareness to people with brain injuries, you can do that whether you're carrying a 100-pound pack or a 30-pound pack. Just the idea that you're out here hiking this freaking trail. The reality is the average person is not going to come out here and hike this trail. First of all, they don't want to. They have no desire to. And for the few that get up the nerve to come out here and try, just the average folks, most of them they're not gonna last more than a week or so. It's just too hard. Unless you're used to doing difficult things physically, emotionally, mentally, you're not gonna come out here and succeed. I proved that. I did not succeed in 23. I was, in my mind, I was physically and mentally and emotionally not strong enough to do the whole trail. That's just reality. I can live with that. I was strong enough in all those areas to make it 1,400 miles. That's pretty damn good. I'm happy with that. And the experiences I had coming back and finishing the trail in 24, mainly with my sister navigator, I would not trade that for any amount of money in the entire world. These big steps are a lot easier with trekking poles. But you guys don't get to see that stuff very often. Look at this. Just hanging out there on the other tree. And that's where it'll be until it eventually rots years from now. I was talking to young Cody last night, and he was telling the story about how he almost caught me. He was 20 feet away coming down a technical downhill section, and I saw him coming, and I'm like, no. I went into full New Hampshire mode. Don't need trekking poles coming down technical sections like that. You can just pretty much hop, skip, and jump down. Yeah. But it's fun. You know, when I can do things like that, I earn respect for the old people out here, for the young people. A lot of these young kids think it's amazing that my old ass is even going up one mountain, much less what I'm doing out here and holding my own with them. I don't think that's expected. And I'm not the only one out here. Good Lord, there's guys that are fucking running circles around me out here that are older than me. I just passed a 72-year-old. I hear the road. Age should not limit you from doing things like this. You may not be able to do it as fast as these youngsters overall. You may not be as strong, but you got the willpower. And whether you come out here for a weekend or a week or 2 weeks or a month, or you do the whole thing, those old people, we represent out here, man. And we represent well. The vast majority of people out here are extremely young, usually kids just coming out of the military or coming out of college. some out of high school, rare, but some. And then you have the older guys like me and Deb and Abby. I'm not going to say Navigator because Navigator's not that old and she'll beat me up. But very few people in those middle ages, from probably, I don't know, say 28 to 55, 60. Oh, big step, big step, big step. Oh. All right, it's getting a little bit steeper here toward the end, so I'm going to put this away. I don't want to fall the last tenth or so. So I'll see you down the trail.